my wish come true. All I want for Hanukkah is you.
Welcome back, my favorite Tzaddikim and Hasidim. Hope you are doing well. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about a very important Halachic question, which is the role of righteous Gentiles, the B'nai Noach, the Noahides, and the holiday of Christmas. Can you celebrate Christmas? Can you be involved in any Christmas activities? Can you listen to Christmas music? What about eating delicious Christmas sugar cookies? We're going to be getting into all of these things here in today's episode. Now, we're going to be using as our halakhic source here, this wonderful, nifty text. Say, when's the last time that you heard the word nifty? I say that we bring it back. Anyways, there's an incredibly nifty text here by Rabbi Moshe Weiner called The Divine Code. Now, this is technically the first volume, but it includes the vast majority of the information that you'll need, and it's definitely a great start to learn how to become an excellent human being. Who doesn't want to be that? I definitely would like to I'm trying to be an excellent human being to the best of our ability. The best of my ability, I should say, and all of us should be doing that to the best of our abilities. So, in today's episode, we're going to be referring specifically to Volume 1, as I said, specifically the tractate or the section on idolatry. And that's because this is really the main issue with Christmas. Is it idolatrous or not? Is it permissible, for people to celebrate this? Now, of course, we're not going to be telling Christians what they need to be doing, but we're only going to be telling primarily Noahides, but these things would also, the prohibitions at least, would also apply to Jews as well. And so we're going to be getting into not just answering this question, but we're going to be getting into some of the details and explanations for these things. Now, as we can see, I've cited the page numbers so that you too can follow along with this presentation, and also with the chapter citations so that it's just one more way for us to keep track of where we are in this giant book. So this thing is massive. You could build a whole house with this thing if you had enough. Anyways, it's so massive because it has so many juicy details in it. It's absolutely geschmack. I love it so much. Anyways, so let's begin by first introducing this idea that there is a both biblical and rabbinic prohibition on inventing new religions, and by extension, new religious practices, and that includes holidays. And so, logically, if there's a prohibition on starting a new religion and inventing new holidays, even though the Torah says you shall not add or subtract from it, if people are adding and subtracting from it, then by all means, does that indicate to us that we ourselves are not allowed to do it, but also that we cannot benefit from it when other people do it? So if somebody else invents a new holiday for us to observe, well, we cannot observe it. We are prohibited by the almighty loving God of the universe from participating in these things that are simply not good for us spiritually, that are not good for the rectification of the universe, and that they're not beneficial to bringing people closer to the one true God of the universe. And that's really what we're all here for. That's what we're here to do, is to bring the entire creation closer to God. And so every mitzvah that we do, every good deed that we do, every good thought that we have even good thoughts, brings the world closer to Kadosh Baruch Hu, to the Holy One, blessed be He. Alrighty, so we know that we can't be inventing new religions, we can't be inventing new holidays, and logically, by extension, we cannot be observing the made-up holidays that other people invent. So, and this is important because, as we know, Christmas is not a biblical holiday. You're not going to find these mentioned in Vayikra, in Leviticus. And so, if this is just a made-up holiday, then that implies that we are almost absolutely prohibited from observing it. Now, there are a few holidays, so-called holidays, civil holidays, that we are permitted to observe. For example, here in America, we might have Independence Day, which is on July 4th, or Thanksgiving, which might have some religious connotations, but only because Thanksgiving or gratitude is a biblical principle. So in some sense, although maybe the history is not exactly accurate or even has some unsavory bits to it, some people, some Jews and some righteous Gentiles as well, do observe Thanksgiving in some way. However, again, it is a civil holiday. It is not particular to any particular religion, because as we know, people from many different religions can be thankful, we can say, to God, right? Jews, Christians, and Muslims. And within the Jewish category, we're going to include you Noahides. You're with us. You're our people too. And so Jews and Noahides, Christians and Muslims, we all in some sense worship the same God. I know that this is going to bother people, but this is the case. Did you know that Jews and Christians in Arabic refer to the biblical God as Allah? That is true. That's absolutely true. If this bothers you, I do apologize, but this is just a simple fact of history and of the world. Now, with this said, even if you disagree with that, it's important to note that Christmas, as I said, is not a biblical holiday, and so it really has no place for us in our list of observances. And frankly, I mean, if you're observing the biblical holidays, you have almost a month off per year. That's pretty sweet. And 52 Shabbats, I mean, come on. What more could you ask for? Maybe 53. I don't know. Let's see. All right. Now, it's important to note that some of these prohibited practices, they might have pagan origins. And of course, pagan holidays are off limits. We shouldn't be observing these. However, it's important to note that some of these practices have changed in nature. What used to be pagan, or primarily pagan, is now primarily, not exclusively, primarily Christian in nature. So, for example, we all know that Christmas is kind of loosely based off of Saturnalia and the Bacchanalia, and in terms of the feasting and the singing, and in previous centuries, the rioting. For those of you, some of you will probably be familiar with the fact that Christmas was illegal in the United States up into the early to mid 1800s. I think was it Georgia that was the first to legalize it, I think. But yeah, you can look this up. This is well documented history, and it's because there were, well, first of all, there were pagan elements to it, but there were also violent mobs and rioting associated with it. It was like a violent trick or treat combined with, we bless you, merry gentlemen. I don't know. A very bizarre Christmas. And needless to say, we don't observe it like that anymore. And so we find that over time, practices do change, intentions change, and what used to be primarily pagan is now primarily Christian, and in some sense, it's becoming primarily secular. But there is obviously a very strong Christian element to it. And so because of that, whether it's pagan, whether it's Christian, these are holidays that are not biblical. They're not good, righteous, or holy observances. And so, we as people who are pursuing righteousness and holiness and pursuing the one true God of the universe, we know that these things are not healthy or conducive to spiritual well-being. So we're going to avoid these things as well and as much as we can. So, and in the same vein, we should also note that sincere worship is to be distinguished from mindless tradition keeping. Some people keep Christmas because they are devout, very pious, very religious, involved Christians, right? Other people keep these holiday observances simply because, well, that's what we've always done. That's just what our family does. I don't know. Isn't that just how you keep Christmas? Well, that's what everyone does, right? Why do we have Christmas trees? I don't know. That's just what you do on Christmas, right? Then there are these mindless tradition-keeping people, right? Nothing necessarily wrong with doing things out of sincerity or doing things mindlessly. Although, of course, we should be trying to live with intention and with the right kavanah, right? That is the right intention, the right focus, with sincerity, etc. So, and this is important because for those people who are doing this simply out of, you might say, rote habit, we need to be more gentle with these people because they mean well. They're not really critical thinking people. They're not very mindful. Maybe they're demure, but they're not very mindful. So they're not thinking. They're not asking these deeper questions. They're not really thinking about why they do anything that they do. They're kind of running on instinct or on their programming like robots. So maybe it could be our job, or at least an opportunity for us to take advantage of, shake them up just a little bit. Of course, with plenty of kindness, with love, with a very merciful attitude, and with the utmost caring, kindness, caring, love, everything. Be nice about it is what I'm trying to get at. So, the people that are very devout in this, you're probably not going to change their minds, but you never know. You can always throw your line out and see if it lands. see if you get a catch. Now, in terms of the celebration or the observance of this holiday, Rabbi Moshe Weiner, basing his comments on Tosafos' own comments on Sanhedrin 60b, which is part of the Talmud, Rabbi Moshe Weiner says, for an idol that has many traditional ways of service, one is liable for performing any one of them. Now, that's to say that you don't have to observe the entirety of Christmas to be guilty of celebrating Christmas. Essentially, if you observe even one element of it, you would, in theory, if the Sanhedrin was around, you would be liable and would be punished for that, if you were within the land of Israel, at least. Of course, the Sanhedrin has never claimed to govern the entire world. But it's primarily within the land of Israel, because as we know, there are righteous Gentiles that would come to live in the land of Israel, as there was in ancient times, and probably will again in the future. And I might say, probably do right now as well. I see no reason to not believe that. So, now as part of that, we need to be careful, especially with the gift-giving element of Christmas. Now we know typically, customarily, you would put Christmas gifts at the base of a tree, right? You'd put them down, you'd pick them up, bada boom, bada bing. And as part of this, you'd be bending or bowing. And so even if your heart is not intending to bow down to a Christmas tree, that's still what you're doing. So we want to be careful and make sure that we're not bowing even on accident. So we need to make sure that we're not engaging in this or opening ourselves up to opportunities where this would even be a problem. So again, we shouldn't be exchanging gifts on Christmas or because of Christmas on a later date, or doing a December gift exchange, right? Which is, come on, that's PC talk for Christmas. Let's just be honest. Now it's funny because when I gave up Christmas, my my birthday is 3 weeks after, 3 to 4 weeks after Christmas. And so my parents started giving me gifts on my birthday. It's like, come on, this is just belated Christmas. But thank you at least for doing it in the name of my birthday. That's a little bit better. So let's see. Now, in theory, if you're new to this and you're still kind of questioning, how we should be behaving vis-a-vis Christmas, if you're going to be presenting gifts, at least try to bow away from the Christmas tree, right? Basically, point your butt toward the tree, face away from the tree. That way, we're not engaging in any bowing toward what is technically, biblically, an idol. And this also includes sitting at underneath or at the foot of a Christmas tree. As you can see, so far we've been citing all of our sources here, and if you'd like to follow along, you're more than welcome to. Like, why is he talking about all this? What are the sources actually saying? Well, you can go back and check them out for yourself, and I highly recommend that you do that. Now let's move on to the topic of greetings. We want to be very careful on how we talk about Christmas and all other unbiblical religious observances. The reason for this is that we don't want to accidentally or especially intentionally say positive things about Christmas, right? We don't want to say, "Oh, isn't Christmas time so great?" Right? Things like this. The reason being is because, again, it is a form of idolatry, biblically speaking. And what a shame it would be if we, claiming to follow the one true God of the universe, who loves us so much, who's given us so much to be thankful for in life, who has guided us and taught us the ways of life, to turn around and praise those things that are completely contrary to his ways and his character, his nature, as we would sometimes say. It is not fitting for us to be doing these things. And so we can avoid all this trouble by, when somebody says, "Merry Christmas," we can respond with, "Oh, thank you. How are you doing?" Right? You gotta do a little switcheroo, switchy. we can acknowledge it, thank them for it, and then inquire about their welfare. Because again, we want people to be doing well. We want them to be rich and healthy and happy and all these things, primarily within the context of a holy and righteous life, of course. And so somebody says, Merry Christmas. You can say, oh, it's so good to see you. How are you doing? How's your family? Hope your leg's healing up well. You know? Right? We can say these things. Of course, if they don't have an injury, you wouldn't be saying something like that. So if somebody says something like, hey, we are having a Christmas party at the office. Are you coming? Right? Good question. Or, hey, we have some reports due, and they're due right before, I can't remember, was it Christmas Eve or Christmas? Right? So now you're put on the spot. Now you have to say the names of one of these days, which are both idolatrous holidays. So what do? Well, you don't have to respond on the terms that they set for you. You are an independent human being. You get to decide how to live, right? So if somebody says, was it on Christmas Eve? Was it Christmas? Was it New Year's? When was this? When's the date? You can say, oh, I think it's on the 25th. Right? You avoided saying the holiday. You avoided giving any praise to the day. You avoided speaking to it. And we can still refer to it in a roundabout way. Again, you can say, well, December 25th is Christmas. Of course it is. But it's not naturally Christmas. That's the date on which it falls. But it's not naturally, ontologically, innately Christmas. Right? Because, again, there was a time when December 25th was not Christmas. There was a time when it was not Saturnalia. There was a time during the creation of the world. There was no holiday on this day at all, right? So there's nothing wrong with December 25th. It's a roundabout way of referring to the very thing that we should be avoiding talking about in some respect. And we can still answer the question without saying, oh, the rules tell me that I'm not allowed to talk about this, right? We don't want to be a weirdo. Right? We're weird enough as it is. We don't need to add to our own personal weirdness. As much as that personal weirdness might be lovely, we don't want to be adding to that, because in some sense it puts a bad name on God. It's like, oh, what are you, in some kind of cult? Oh, what are you, just making up your own religion? What, do you have psychological issues? Right? People say very mean things like this. And so we want to get along with society without compromising our religious values. Right, so now sometimes on this holiday, people will refer to the day as Jesus' birthday. And they'll say, oh, and this is especially true in recent years. Some people will bake a cake for Jesus, a birthday cake, because they'll say, well, it's Jesus' birthday, right? Are we, as people who are aspiring tzaddikim and chassidim, are we allowed to refer to it as Jesus' birthday? The answer is no. And the simple reason is because to them, Jesus is a god or a demigod, and it's not proper for us to be talking about the birthday of some other god, right? He's not a real god. You can't even say a fake god. He's just a non-god, right? And if a person thinks he's a real god, then of course he'd be a fake one. But so to refer to his birthday would be to ascribing some level of positivity to it, right? Because you're referring to the celebration of his birth, or in Christian terms, the celebration of his incarnation. And that's definitely something that we would prefer to avoid, because we're out here to spread light, and to spread truth, and to spread reality. And the reality is that he simply was not God incarnate. So, and if you're watching this video up to this point, I'm guessing that probably is not offending anybody. But if it is, I do apologize, but this is the truth. So, and there's two main reasons why we would not want to be calling this day, the December 25th holiday, Jesus' birthday. As I said, because one, he wasn't born on this day historically, and two, because it's a prohibition to speak fondly or to even insinuate positive things about other gods. So, now what happens if either on this holiday, or really just any time of the year, somebody says, "May Jesus bless you," or "I'll be praying that Jesus does X, Y, and Z." How are we to respond? Again, as aspiring tzaddikim and chassidim, like we've got to know these things. These are the questions that define our generation. So something that we can say is, "Oh, you too." Ooh, no, we don't want to say that. I'm just kidding. We do not want to be saying, "Oh, you too," just regurgitating this answer instinctively, you might say, or compulsively. We don't want to just be vomiting out answers thoughtlessly. So instead of being thoughtless, instinctual animals, what we want to do is that we can say something like, "And God bless you," right? Because Christians and Jews, and again, within the Jewish category, we're talking to you, Noahides. Oh yeah, you belong to us, and we belong to you. We belong together. So what we can do is we can say, "God bless you," because all of us believe in the one true God of the Bible. Now, where Christians err is they attach deity to this other guy, right? They exalt him to godhood, but they do believe in whom they call the Father, and that is the one true God of the Bible, right? So we can respond with, "God bless you," or "Thank you, may you also be blessed." So, although saying "also" that would imply some kind of reciprocity that's associated with the thing that they just said, which implies Jesus. So, again, we have to get creative. We have to be careful. But these things can definitely be done. Nothing to worry about. Just something to be strategic about. So, when it comes to people saying "Merry Christmas," are we allowed then to say "Merry Christmas" back to them, right? If we can't say "Jesus bless you too," can we say "Merry Christmas to you too," right? There was a time when I was working at a grocery store when I was much younger. I was in college, and I was at the end of the aisle. From what I remember, there was nobody else in the aisle. This guy comes from the opposite end, which is like 40 feet away, 50 feet. I don't even remember how far. It was a long way. He comes walking down this aisle, and he looks me dead in the eyeballs and says, you might even say aggressively, "Merry Christmas," and then he just walks away. I'm like, "My dude, what is your deal? Like, you can see that I'm Jewish. Like, why are you?" I don't know. I felt attacked. I was verbally assaulted. But you know what? Maybe he meant well. We'll try to be easy on him. Maybe he meant well. But my point being is that we are all confronted with times and situations where somebody comes up and says, "Merry Christmas" to us. And so how are we supposed to respond? Well, the easiest answer to this is that... what am I doing? There we go. The easiest answer to this is that we just don't say "Merry Christmas" back, right? We can say something back and say, "Oh, thank you. Do you have any plans for the 25th? Right? Again, we're being strategic. We're not saying Christmas. And again, it's not like it's a rule. This isn't magic, right? We are simply just trying to be careful with how we talk, right? These are not rules like, "Oh, oops, you violated the rule. You're going to hell." It doesn't work like that. We are trying our best to be the best that we can be. Hopefully that didn't sound too much like a current politician. Some of you will know who I'm talking about. Anyways, so if they say "Merry Christmas" to us, can we respond, as I said? Can we say "Thank you," and then ask about their welfare, ask about what their plans are? As we can do these things. However, some rabbinic authorities say that we can respond with, "Oh, thank you, Merry Christmas." Right? Me personally, I have done this before. I greatly prefer not to, but there are times when that might be the appropriate thing to do, or at least the friendly social thing to do. Especially if somebody seems to be pro-Jewish, I will try to extend an olive branch back to them, and to be friendly, because we have enough enemies as it is. There's no reason to needlessly make more. So again, some rabbinic authorities allow it, some do not. You're free to choose what you will do. However, However, there is a condition that if you say Merry Christmas, a person should have in his mind, or her mind, the proper mindset, right? So a person should not be saying this with intention, with sincerity, with trying to connect to the spirit of this holiday at all. And again, we're not talking about ghosts. We're just talking about like the spirit of the times, the spirit of the day, the aura of the day, the feeling of the day, right? It's like it's in the air, right? We're not talking about ghosts, devils, spirits, anything like this. Talking about the spirit of the holiday. Now, on the topic of Christmas music, what is to be our relationship with this media? And really, it's not just Christmas music, but it's all Christmas media in general, which would include movies. So, how are we supposed to treat these things, interact with these things? Can we partake? Again, the simple answer is generally no. So, again, according to Rabbi Moshe Weiner's Divine Code, chapter 3, in points 24 and 25, he says that singing songs that are associated with idolatry are forbidden. And so this would include the vast majority of Christmas carols, just by nature of them being Christmas carols. In theory, this would also extend to listening to all forms of Christmas music. However, and this is why I say in theory, it would permit some winter-themed music that is played during Christmas time, but that is not technically Christmas music. Now, yes, this is also associated with Christmas, of course, because this is the only time of year that it is played. However, there is also an argument to be made that because Christmas occurs in the winter, and you only play winter music during the winter, more or less, at least here in America, we start playing Christmas music after Thanksgiving, so the end of November. You can make the argument that it is just two things coinciding. That these two things just happen to be happening. That they are occurring at the same time, and therefore that they're not technically associated with one another, other than perhaps psychologically, but that they are just two co-occurring things, and therefore they should not be associated. For example, Halloween and, again, in America, Halloween and the elections. Should we say that we should be afraid of the elections or that they have something to do with death? Well, they probably do. But objectively, these things have no connection at all. So we know that these are two independent occurrences and that they really don't have any historical, psychological, spiritual connection at all. They're two things that happen around the same time. Likewise, the playing of winter music and the playing of Christmas music are just two co-occurring things. Likewise, it's like if you have pumpkins and hay bales on your front porch, somebody might mistake those as Halloween decorations, when in reality, those are simply fall decorations. Right? Many people do this. They might not like Halloween, but they'll put out some pumpkins or little gourds that you can get from the store, and they'll put out some hay bales. Kind of a festive thing to do. And really, halachically, from the standpoint, it is perfectly fine to do that as well. So to put up fall-themed decorations. So as long as we're not putting up jack-o'-lanterns or anything like that. And the reason being is that because, again, these things just don't have anything to do with Jewish values. If anything, Halloween is a celebration of everything that is monstrous and dark, evil. It has to do with death. Whereas Judaism is about life and light, living, joy, and they don't really have anything to do with one another. Now, with that said, can the same thing be stated about Christmas? You can say Christmas is about light and giving, and these are great things in and of themselves. But the fact that they are directly associated with, but not just associated with, but that they are elements of the holiday of another religion, again, this is why we stay away from this. So when it comes to singing Christmas carols, going around caroling door to door, this is not something that we would obviously be doing. It's probably one of the most Christmas-related things that you can possibly do, other than perhaps putting up a tree or going to church. And so we wouldn't be doing this. In addition, we would not be listening to Christian or Christmas music. And this would also, this might seem a little rude, but this would also include entertaining carolers if they were to come to your door. If you see that Christmas carolers come to your door, and you open the door and they say, "Merry Christmas," and they just start caroling, it's kind of on us. It's our responsibility to very, again, lovingly, politely, because we love these people so much, we don't want to be causing any offense at all. But we do want to tell them, and we don't want to be wasting their time either, or their breath, that we thank you so much for the intention. We don't celebrate Christmas, but we do absolutely wish you the best. If you're Jewish, you can say you're Jewish. If you're Noahide, then you can say, we stick with the Jewish Bible, and but we love you guys so much. We wish you the best, and then even offer them something. Do you need anything to drink? Do you need any snacks? Again, we can be very kind to them, while at the same time, again, politely turning down their offers for caroling. So I think that's pretty evident about that. And a lot of these same rules also extend to Christmas movies. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Santa Claus. These things are, I have to admit, they are fun movies. However, they're not really befitting of people who are trying to step up their game. And so, yes, these things can be very fun, but again, they really have nothing to do with our faith, right? Whether you're a Noahide, or whether you're Jewish, or even whether you're Messianic and you are trying to keep Torah to the best of your ability, which of course is an incredibly commendable thing to be doing. We fully support that here at Tzaddik Media. And so if you are, one of these type of people, then, obviously Christmas is not really going to be a step up for you spiritually. If anything, it would be a step down. All right. Now, in terms of decorations, can we actually put up any decorations? Can we assist in putting up decorations? Can we look at decorations? What is the Halachic guidance on these issues? So, first of all, I'd like to address something more of a specific example, and it's technically alluding to Christmas. It's preempting Christmas, and it's coming before Christmas. And that is the practice of some churches and some Christians to observe something called Advent. This was something that when I was a Christian, our church used to do. I'm sure they probably still do, actually. And they would light Advent candles. And if I remember correctly, it has something to do with lighting one candle per week, per Sunday, I believe, preempting Christmas. So that the last Advent candle, I think it's like an extra fifth candle or something. Anyways, it's associated with the coming of Christmas. And so because of that association, we would not be lighting those candles, participating in the candle lighting ceremony, as most churches have a little bit of a ceremony or a service associated with the lighting. And so we would not be associating ourselves with those, the lighting of those candles. The reason being, because again, it's part of not the day of Christmas, but with the religious observance of Christmas. So, and then by extension, we're also prohibited from benefiting from the light of these candles. So, for example, if you wanted to read a book, it's better just to go into a different room or to turn a lamp on next to you so that we're not benefiting from the light of these idolatrous candles. Again, the reason being is because we don't want, even just psychologically, we don't want to be associating anything even remotely idolatrous with anything that is of benefit to us. And so it's best, again, emotionally and psychologically and spiritually, that's ultimately what these things are. These are spiritual things that are happening within us. We don't want to be spiritually associating benefit or goodness with these idolatrous candles, or these candles being used as part of idolatrous practices. Let's see. Now, this one will probably be pretty obvious to most of us. I think we all know. If you can't do any of this other stuff, we know that we cannot be decorating a Christmas tree. Yes, even if it's for work. We have to tell our bosses, hey, look, sorry, it's against my faith. I can't do this. More than happy to do something that's not Christmas related. I mean, even conceptually, like if they're putting out snacks for an office party or something, it's better to do that than to put up things that are explicitly Christmas-related decorations. The reason being is because, cookies or snacks, those are things that they would probably be serving at any other type of party. Maybe the ingredients would change, but they would be putting out snacks for any type of party. 4th of July, Martin Luther King's birthday, President's Day, Abe Lincoln's dog's birthday, who knows? So if they would be putting out snacks for any reason, just for the enjoyment of the people, that's perfectly fine. If they're doing it for religious reasons, well, it's not perfectly fine, right? That's when it gets a little problematic. So, of course, we cannot be putting up Christmas trees, garland, tinsel, decorations like nutcrackers, putting lights on the tree. All this, it's better for us to stay away from. So, additionally, if you happen to be in a position where you're running a business and you are the owner of this business and you are in charge of stocking all the products in your store, we're also prohibited at this time from selling Christmas decorations. The main reason being because we don't want to be assisting in idolatrous practices, because spiritually that links us to that of a Zorah, and then we become partially to blame for it. And I know the argument can go, well, they can get it anywhere else. I might as well make a profit from it. I understand that. I happen to be a fan of profits, both biblical and financial. But the thing is that just because they could get it from anywhere else does not mean that we should be helping them. Right? It's kind of like, well, if they're going to round up all the Jews anyways and send them off to the camps, I might as well help them, right? Like, that's kind of a extreme example, of course, but it uses the same logic, right? If they're going to do it anyways, I might as well help them. So the righteous mindset is, if they're going to do it anyways, why should I help them, right? Well, why should I help them? They're going to do it anyways. If they don't go with me, they'll go with somebody else, right? And that they probably will. But here's the thing. If they abstain from it because of your righteous abstention, your own righteous abstention, you're actually doing something good, and God is very pleased with the light that you're bringing into the world. Because of, again, it's very tempting to sell these things. I know. I've run my own business before too. But again, it's better to stay away from these things and not to introduce them into society at large. Again, not introducing them for the first time in history, but introducing them on a seasonal basis, of course. So, and again, in the same vein, if there is a secular store that is happening to sell Christmas products, we are allowed to go inside. We're allowed to buy from these. For example, Walmart will always have Christmas stuff out. Why? Because they love Christmas? No, because they love money. And they know that by selling these things, they can make money. Now, if you were to go to, for example, Hobby Lobby, I'm sorry, ladies, it's true. Hobby Lobby is a Christian company, of course. They're very proud about their Christian values. And generally speaking, I would say that's probably a positive. However, during this time of year, they're putting up Christmas stuff specifically for religious reasons. And yes, they also are, just like Walmart, trying to make money. But they're also putting them up specifically for religious reasons. And that's why it's better, maybe to not shop there until after New Year's. Again, the same thing with companies like Little Debbie, where they're making Christmas tree cakes. And, being a Seventh-day Adventist Christian company, and that is true. Either the owners or founders are SDAs. And again, we're very fond of these people. We love them so much. We wish them the utmost best, but it's better to stay away from the Christmas-themed cakes that they're selling, like I think that they have Santa apple pies or something, and then the Christmas tree cakes. Of course, you could smash them down. You could make something else out of them. But again, what are cakes really worth? Well, we can go without cakes for a few weeks. I know it might not look like I do, but we can manage. Believe me, if we can go a week without chametz, we can go a week without a few weeks without little cakes. Although I have to admit they are delicious. But you know what? We are righteous people. We're good people, and we can abstain. We can exercise the self-control. So, alrighty. Now, on the topic of getting rid of old decorations, what happens if you happen to own some Christmas decorations and you see the light? You're on the road to, not Damascus, but you're on the road to Hashem. You're on the road to God, and you see the light and you say, "Oh my goodness, Baruch Hashem, thank you, God, for helping me and helping me to see that Christmas is not really befitting of people who are pursuant of your righteousness, oh God. So, what do I do with all these Christmas decorations?" Well, that's a fantastic question, and I think it's very relevant for a lot of us who were probably raised Christian. And either we've become Noahides or we've become Jewish. Maybe we were Jews who were raised Christian, right? So, of course, you don't become Jewish if you already are, but you're returning to the Jewishness you had all along. So if you're in the situation where you have these Christmas ornaments, these decorations, the garland, the tinsel, the plastic trays, those were always the kind that we had, then what do we do with these things? So for Noahides, here's what you can do. Christmas trees can be nullified, and this is what must be done for idols, because in all honesty, Christmas trees are debatably idols. They're not explicitly they're idolatrous, but they're not explicitly idols in and of themselves. However, it is much better to treat them as if they are full, unadulterated, very simple idols, simply because if we don't, then there are substantial halachic problems that can arise. So given this, what are we supposed to do? Alrighty, so for Noahides, what we can do is if we deface the Christmas tree to the extent that it is so ugly that when a person looks at it, he goes, "Ooh, that's a rough looking tree." Yikes. So the point is basically to make it ugly. If you can ugify it, then that is how we deface it. Now, of course, usually for an idol, like an explicit idol, it'll have a face. And what we'll do is like chip off the nose, something like that. Christmas trees, given that they have no noses, they are noseless things. What we do is we deface them. That's kind of against my point. That we destroy them to the point where they're so ugly that they're unusable. Not because they are functionally unusable, but because they are aesthetically unusable. To the point where nobody in their right mind would look at the tree and say, "I'd probably use that," or "It looks okay." Right, so we want to make it ugly enough that nobody would want to use it. Now, this does not mean simply taking off a branch, in part because, like I said, with plastic trees, which is what probably a lot of us have used, to disassemble the tree, we have to take off the branches, right? And so if you can do so in a safe environment, like if you live out in the country, maybe you could burn it or something. That's probably not good for the air pollution, but you can melt it, you could theoretically bury it, you could you could turn it into a bird's nest and have the birds poop all over it and then like saw it in half with a chainsaw. I mean, you can get so creative with how to nullify these objects. And frankly, I would love to see a video compilation of all the people destroying their Christmas trees in very creative and imaginative ways. I really would like to see that. So if there are people out there that would love to do that, by all means, send us videos. And if we can get a compilation going, I would be more than happy to post it. I think that would be pretty fun. So, alrighty. Now, just on the same note, if Jews happen to own a Christmas tree, let's say that you are Christian, but you are coming back to the faith of your forefathers, you want to get rid of that Christmas tree. So then what do? Well, the tree has to be completely destroyed. So you have to destroy it even more. We get to be more destructive. We're talking putting it on top of fireworks, melting it down, chopping it up, feeding it to the lions, this kind of thing. Completely destroying it. Now, this also includes all of the ornaments and decorations that a person might have. So the garland, the ornaments, the bulbs, the tinsel, the angel on top of the tree, the star on top of the tree. All these things need to also be destroyed along with the tree. Now, with that said, there is sometimes an exemption, especially for Noahides, that if a certain object, like a bulb Christmas ornament, if it has a family photo on it and you like that picture, you don't have another copy of it, and it reminds you of when your kids were younger, and it brings back sentimental feelings, and there can be certain exceptions to this. However, a person has to psychologically and emotionally and spiritually disconnect themselves and divorce themselves from all sentimental attachment to the holiday of Christmas. And so if you can get rid of all the good Christmas thoughts in your mind, but you have this object that still has the picture on it, you're technically allowed to keep it. Now, what may be even better than this is if you are able to capture that image. Maybe you can take a real high quality picture of it or something and then print it out and frame it. That would really be ideal. It's really the better option there. But technically, for Noahides, you are allowed to keep objects like that. So again, as long as you psychologically divorce yourselves from the Christmas aspect and you're keeping it for the sentimental family aspect of it. All right, so now on to the tastiest part of the video here. Eating and drinking Christmas-related foods in a Christmas environment, Christmas-looking foods, as we'll see what I mean by that here in just a second. So, for example, again, at this point, we all know that we can't be participating in Christmas-related activities, and this includes things like leaving cookies out for Santa Claus. Of course, Santa Claus being a fictional character, you're leaving cookies out for nobody. you're leaving cookies out for the mildew and the mold to grow on. Of course, as parents, we all know that those get eaten by us. So we're not allowed to be leaving those out for Santa, not just because he's a mythological person, but because he is connected to certain Germanic deities from days long ago, right? So, so it's best that we just don't do that. So then, additionally, changing things here. Don't mind that. All right, let's see. Now, when it comes to Christmas-related or Christmas-specific drinks, including drinks that are consumed specifically for Christmas, during Christmas rituals or rituals in a church, etc., these are prohibited to be consumed. So, for example, if there's any Christmas communion wine, that's definitely a no-go, or grape juice, also a no-go. Additionally, if there is if there's eggnog specifically bought for a Christmas party, and that Christmas party has any aspect of it that is even remotely religious, again, we don't want to be caught up with that type of shenanigans, and so we're just going to stay away from that. However, is it fine if a Noahide or even a Jew, we go to Walmart, we pick up some eggnog because we genuinely like how it tastes? Me personally, I think it's gross. I think it tastes like licorice, but that's just me. And we're not here to put our own personal preferences on anybody else. So if you personally just enjoy the taste of eggnog, you are more than welcome to drink it outside of a Christmas context. So that is the good news for people who like eggnog. All right. So now, additionally, when it comes to Christmas foods, there are specific foods that we should not be eating, not because they're not kosher, not because they are innately wrong or anything, but simply because they are genetically bound up with the Christmas holiday. We're talking foods like fruitcakes, Christmas cookies in the shapes of Santa Clauses. These things have nothing to do with the righteousness that we're pursuing and that holiness that we're pursuing. So it's really best, again, to stay away from these things. And we're going to get into some examples of this, by the way. Now, if we're talking about treats, primarily cookies is what is what the issue is going to be. If we're talking about treats offered at a secular Christmas party, sometimes they'll be called the office holiday party. These are perfectly fine. Noahides, you're welcome to eat as many as you like. Again, we just recommend that you stay healthy. Don't have too many. And the dyes are horribly unhealthy for us, but very unhealthy, but also very tasty sometimes, unfortunately. So, alrighty. So now, what do we do with commercialized Santa and tree-shaped candies, cakes, cookies, all these tasty treats that on their own, the ingredients of which are just delightful? So, what are we to do? Now, as we can see from the picture that I accidentally moved earlier, these Santa chocolates, what do we do with these? Well, what we will do is we'll just avoid those for now, and then we'll buy different chocolates, right? It's very easy to do. These are not the only chocolates available anywhere. Especially these specific ones, they look like Lindt, and Lindt is a tasty brand, but we can avoid the Santas for right now. In theory, if you really had to, for whatever reason, you could smash them down, melt them down, and make them into different products. However, the fact that you're buying them implies to outsiders, right? It implies to other people that you're buying them specifically for the Christmas element. So if you want to go late at night, go through self-checkout, in theory, that might be permissible. But yeah, it's better to stay away from that. And additionally, these are my downfall, people. I'm admitting the truth. The Little Debbie Christmas tree cakes. Yes, we are here talking about these little cakes that we had mentioned earlier. So these little cakes, delicious, yes. Christmas themed, yes. Given that this is a Christian company, and given that they are putting these out not just for commercial reasons, but also for religious reasons, because again, they are Christian, it's better to just stay away from these. And additionally, and if we're giving these to our kids, what kind of message does that send to them? They're asking, what are these? Why are they making spaceship-looking cakes here? And we say, oh, no, they're not spaceships. They're actually Christmas trees. And then we have to explain, well, why are we giving them Christmas trees if we can't put up a Christmas tree, right? Leads to too much confusion, leads to too many questions. And questions can be good at the appropriate age. And typically for kids, they're not going to be old enough where they don't understand why we're not doing these things, or why the things that we are doing, why we're doing those. So maybe when they're a little bit older, those things can be explained. But overall, we should be avoiding things that look and feel Christmassy, that they're designed specifically for Christmas, and especially foods that are made only for Christmas, like fruitcakes. I mean, come on, who eats fruitcake in July? Even people who do Christmas in July don't eat fruitcakes in July. It's too hot. Anyway, at least in the Northern Hemisphere. All right, so on the topic of honoring the holiday, we know that there's a prohibition on self-beautification and grooming for the sake of idolatrous holidays. So that means that if there is an office Christmas party, yes, it's secular. However, dolling yourself up and getting a haircut specifically for that occasion, it's given bad vibes. Just gonna be honest. Especially if you're going over to a family's house during their party, their nondescript party, which everybody knows is really just a Christmas party. If you are grooming yourself or doing makeup or getting dressed up beyond what you normally would, then you're essentially doing it for the holiday. Again, there is a matter of intention involved. So especially if you're intending to do it, that's bad. But even if you're not intending to, there is still a message being sent, right? Being sent to who? Well, everybody that you're around. And even on a psychological level, we know deep in our souls that if we're getting dressed up more than we normally would, we know innately within ourselves that we're doing this for Christmas. Again, even if we're not intending to, that's what the actions actually are, right? And we care more about reality on this channel than thoughts, feelings, opinions, etc. Although, as you know, I will give opinions sometimes. But when I do, I try to explicitly tell you when I'm giving my opinion versus just giving you the facts. At least the facts as I see them and understand them. So, all right. Now, what happens if we accidentally do Christmas stuff? Let's say that we're getting dressed up for this winter time get-together that's of a fairly secular nature. Maybe they're playing a few Christmas songs, which, okay, we kind of grin and bear it. We get through the evening, but we're primarily there to see our friends and family. And over the course of the night, you think, I wore a suit jacket. I don't normally wear a suit jacket. Does this make it? Does it look like I'm giving more honor to this party, to this occasion, to this holiday than I would normally give? Maybe I just wear, some nice pants and a polo or a nice dress shirt, but tonight I wore a suit jacket, so it's up in your game a little bit. You probably look snazzy as the devil, but you know what? No pun intended. But then you're thinking to yourself, did I get dressed up more than I usually do? And if the answer is yes, and you think about it, oh man, I'm probably giving the wrong impression. I don't want to be doing that. Here's the good news. You know what? Hashem is forgiving. He understands. He knows we are living in just a dastardly difficult world. And he knows that it's very confusing. It's very difficult to navigate. And you know what? If we do things on accident, it is okay. First of all, if it makes you feel any better, take off your jacket. Right? If anybody asks, just say, hey, it's getting a little warm, or I feel more comfortable without it. That's probably the most honest thing that you could say without offending people unnecessarily. Because again, we're not out to offend people. We don't want to be throwing off the vibe of anything, but we also want to make sure that we're on our best behavior as well. So if maybe if that bothers you, then you can take off your jacket and say, I feel much better. And you know what? Frankly, most people probably don't even care anyway. So about what you look like or what you're wearing. So, alrighty. So, and this kind of gets down to, as Rabbi Moshe Weiner says, that there's a difference between sincere worship of a thing versus doing things kind of mindlessly, robotically, out of habit, tradition, or ritual. So if you're doing it with intention, that's obviously going to be worse than just doing it accidentally or doing it without knowing any better, right? And this is what most people are doing anyway when they're observing Christmas. They're just doing it because that's what they've always done. There's no intention behind it. There's no thought about, I'm putting a Christmas tree here specifically for X, Y, and Z reasons. I'm putting up garland specifically because, in the 14th century, some pagans came and they, gave this idea to the local church in Munich or whatever. I'm making stuff up, but the point is that doing things with intention, doing bad things with intention, is obviously going to be worse than doing stuff mindlessly, or maybe you had good intentions and you just misunderstood, right? Or something got misapplied. And obviously, if you have good intentions to do good and you actually do good, it's obviously going to be better. So let's see. Here is a quick breakdown of the conclusions of this video here. So here's the stuff you can do. Here's the gist of the video here. Stuff you can do. You can go to secular, quote-unquote, Christmas events. Office parties, little cute events at the kids' school, things, if you live in a mobile home park or some kind of community with a clubhouse, and some apartments also have like main offices or something. If there's a community Christmas party, winter party, you can technically go to these things because they're obviously secular. Nobody's trying to convert you. The religious element has been completely stripped from the occasion. Now, of course, you could always opt to just not go, and that might even be best. However, if for whatever reason you feel that you want to go, or maybe you feel obligated to go for whatever reason, you're allowed to do that. Also, when it comes to eating snacks at a secular Christmas event, you're more than welcome to do that. Try to eat healthy, but also enjoy yourself. Have a nice time. And be good to the people who are there, as always. So when it comes to responding Merry Christmas, there are some rabbinic authorities that permit it. And if you feel most comfortable doing that, you have those authorities on which you can rely. So when it comes to involvement in winter-related media, you are allowed to do that. You can still go sledding. Building snowmen is a little bit problematic because it's what you're building. However, you want to make snow angels, you can call them snow butterflies or something. Right, so there are ways to kosher up a lot of the winter-related things that we do. And when it comes to things like Hallmark, winter-related movies, watch the heck out of those. I'm all for that. As corny and cheesy as these things are. So I think we've all seen them before. We know how they are. So winter-related movies, watch them. Winter-related songs and music, watch them. Perfectly fine for you. So when it comes to, again, going to some of these events, you can still get dressed up. You can still look nice and presentable, right? We don't want to look like slobs with our beer bellies hanging out, stuff all over our face, hair messed up. So again, look presentable, but don't go out of your way to look extra good specifically for a Christmas occasion. So again, if you have Christmas decorations, you want to get rid of them. Here's the fun thing: you can go all out. You can go full Office Space on these things and completely destroy them. I know that some people will probably be appalled at this, but I'm telling you what. If you've ever gone to these, it's not like an escape room, but it's like an anger room where you can just destroy stuff. Super fun. Obviously, the best way to control your anger is by doing that inner work. But like I said, it can be fun. So if you'd like to do that, you're more than welcome to. I even invite you to do this. Again, do it safely, do it legally, but within those confines, have as much fun as you want. So, and then lastly, guys, be nice to people who observe Christmas. A lot of them just don't know any better. Even the people who say, well, yeah, maybe it had some pagan origins back in the day, but, we do it for Christ now. Vast majority of the time, they mean well. They're just ignorant. They're like children. They don't know any better. Ease up on these people. Please, I'm begging you. Be nice to them. Be nice to them. You're never going to convince them to be like you by being assholes. Okay? I'm just going to say it like that. Don't be jerks. Be nice to people. Leave them be. If they want to celebrate Christmas, again, they shouldn't be. But we're going to leave them alone. We're going to give them the space to do the growing and the maturing that they need to do on their own time at the pace that they can do. All right, we're not going to try to rush them. Because let's face it, if you were ever rushed to do something, like at work, if you're rushed to do something at work, the product is not going to be very good. And if you're rushed to do something, if you're rushing to do spiritual work, you're typically not going to get a very good product. Especially one that's high quality and that's going to last. So yeah, you might repent for a season, but you're not going to repent for a lifetime. And that's really what we're looking for. So, all right, stuff you can't do. Don't get involved with explicitly religious Christmas events like going to church services, Advent candle lighting, decorating Christmas trees, etc. So if there's a religious Christmas event rather than a secular one, if there's a religious one held by family or friends, it's just best not to go. Or even if you did go, it's best just don't eat, right? It's not that we're trying to snub anybody, but if you can kind of snub the holiday a little bit, just as a sign, both to them, but also for yourselves psychologically, to snub it as a way of dishonoring the holiday. And again, if family or friends will be offended by what you're doing, it's probably just best not to go. Just tell people that you're busy. And that is the truth. You're busy just doing other things. Right? You might be busy cleaning the house, watching TV. Right? You never said that you were busy doing important things, just busy doing other things. So, and again, we're not allowed to be decorating people's houses or their trees, helping them to decorate, right? We can't lift little Johnny up to put the angel on top of the tree. So, and then when it comes to Christmas media, like Christmas music, movies, it's best to just stay away from these, as we know, because everything has an influence on our psyches, on our neshamas, on our souls. And we want to make sure that these things are not having any kind of negative influences on us. So, basically, if it feels too Christmassy, it probably is. So, alrighty, so that's our presentation for today. I hope everybody's doing well, that we all have a great time during this, during this December season, let's say, during the winter season, during this time when the sun goes down, the lights come out, and everybody is in a better mood for a few weeks at least. Alrighty, so again, like I said, hope we're all doing well, we stay well, in that we treat our Christmas observing friends with respect and with love and with kindness, so much love and kindness. Make sure to give them big hugs for me, because we care about them a lot, even if we disagree with them on the topic of Christmas. So I'll leave you with that. Take care and have a good week.
Tzaddik, like, share, and subscribe. Come and join the ride. We're living online in the blink of an eye. Like, share, and subscribe. Come and join the